A very good morning, dear children of class 10th English. So, children, today we are going to do our next poem. So, the title of the poem is The Ball Poem. The Ball Poem. So, children, it's been written by John Barrowman. So, John Barrowman has been a tremendous poet in writing this poem, in creating such a masterpiece. Outwardly, if you read, you would feel that the poem is about child psychology. You would feel that the poem is about child psychology. But if we read in between the lines, we would realize that the poem is about the stark realities of life. Means the child and the ball, these are just symbols used by John Barrowman. So that's why I called him that he has been a tremendous poet in writing this poem. Right? So a boy loses a ball. He is very upset. The ball doesn't cost much, right? Nor is it difficult to buy another ball. It's not at all difficult to buy another ball. How costly the ball would be? 100 rupees, 50 rupees, 200 rupees, right? So why then is the boy so upset? The editor asks why the boy becomes so sad, so upset when he loses his ball. So read the poem to see what the poet thinks has been lost and what the boy has to learn from the experience of losing something. Right? So that's a short poem again, but a very, very beautiful one. I hope you would enjoy it. See, children, the text goes like, what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. Merrily, I hope you know, merrily means happily. Often people wish Merry Christmas. So that means they wish the happy time on the eve of Christmas. So merrily means happily. And bounce upon something, bouncing means jumping. Right? John Barrowman, he notices a boy who was standing near the harbor, right? So when he notices the boy, the young boy's ball was rolling away from him. The boy was playing with the ball and the ball got rolled away from that boy and it happily bounces on its way and finally the ball fell into water, right? So he tells us, John Barrowman tells us how he notices each and every moment that the boy was initially playing with the ball and the ball gets rolled away from the boy and it bounces happily on its way. Means the ball was independent and it kept on bouncing as it's round, right? And finally it falls into water. So he asks the readers what the boy should do now. See what he says. There it is in the water, and in the second line the question poses, what is he to do now? It means he asks the readers that what should the boy do now? It means boy's ball is gone now. His only source of entertainment at that point of time was that ball, right? So the boy is confused, like what to do now, like what thing to play with now, right? So I hope these 4 lines are clear. Next is, no use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Ultimate, you know, something that comes at a final stage. Ultimate, final, end, right? So shaking grief fixes the boy, right? As he stands rigid, rigid, you know, means the one who cannot be shaken, whose decision cannot be changed. Trembling, right? Shaking again. So staring down means looking down in a fixed manner, staring down all his young days into the harbor. Harbor means that port where he was standing. all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. Right? So what he says means the poet thinks that he should console the boy. He should sympathize with the boy, and he should make the boy understand that there will be other balls just like the one with which he was playing. Right? So sooner or later, like just after 1 to 2 days or just after a few hours, he may get a new ball. Right? So but he knows, the boy knows that like this is a false consolation, and the poet was too not in the mood of fixing that problem. He was just thinking of that he should go to the boy and console him. Right? But inwardly the poet was aware that this false consolation will not work on the mood of that boy. Right? He notices that the boy is very much sad. He is aggrieved, very sad. Right? And he is also trembling with the pain of that loss of that ball. He was trembling with pain. His mood was highly upset. Right? So as the boy watches that his ball is going into the harbor and down the street, he feels as his childhood has slipped away from him. Understand the symbol, children? He says all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. Means, children, do not cry over the loss of things. Children, do not cry over the loss of things. So that actually is the loss of childhood joys, the loss of childhood days, as he says, all his young days into the harbor. It means his ball has not gone into the water only. Actually, his joys of childhood have gone away from him. Means he feels that he has to depart from his childhood and act as a grown up boy, act as a grown up man. Right? So next, the poet wants to elaborate here that people generally console that boy by saying that you can get other balls, you can purchase a new ball, but the boy who has lost his dear ball will not become happy on these consolations. He has learned that his childhood days are to be departed with now. Right? So, next stanza, he says, I would not intrude on him. Intrude, children, intrude means interfere, right? Intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. A dime, right? A dime here means, coins, money, right? A dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. A very deep meaning the poet conveys here. Worthless, I hope you know that means useless. Right? Now he senses means he feels his first responsibility in the world of possessions, means in the materialistic world. Children often live in the world of possessions. They they don't know that value of the hard earned money. They only know that they need to collect their toys, that they need to fulfill their requirements. Right? So here the child first of all senses that how he is going to step into the world of responsibility. So the poet here says that he will not interfere in the matter of that boy. He will not interfere in the life of that boy. Like, although he was torn between dilemma, right? He feels that it would be wrong to go to that boy and interfere in his life, right? So, giving that boy money to purchase another ball will not have any value for him. Like, if that's highly symbolic, try to understand. The poet says that if he goes to the boy and gives him some money to purchase another ball, that will not make the boy happy. Why? because the poet feels that the boy is undergoing a change. The boy is undergoing a transformation when he is coming to the realization of responsibility, when he is realizing his responsibilities in this world, right? So in the world of possessions, like all the things are temporary, nothing is permanent, and the loss of things is but natural, right? The boy has started to understand that he has to bear the loss without much regret, right? He has to bear the loss of that ball without much regret. So here the poet teaches a big lesson of life. He means that we should not be so much attached to our things. Even he symbolizes that we should not be so much attached to the people in our life. Why? Because everything in this world is temporary, and we should learn how to bear the loss of things. We should learn how to bear the loss of people in our life. So that's why he is symbolizing detachment in this poem. Next stanza, he says, people will take balls, balls will be lost, always little boy, and no one buys a ball back, money is external. Again, he symbolizes that, he says that material things like balls and other toys are just temporary, right? So things like monetary things or the things which can be purchased with money do not stay with us forever. These are temporary things. They keep on, money keeps on, money keeps on moving from one person to the other. It keeps on transferring its place, right? So he says one particular thing in our possession today might be in the ownership of somebody else tomorrow. The house in which I am living today may belong to someone else a few years afterwards, right? So the things we are honor of today may belong to someone else after a few days or after a few years. It means nothing is permanent with us. All the material things are temporary. We may not be the owner of these things, right, after a few moments. So here the ball is a symbol of like all the possessions of human beings. The poet here says that we will certainly lose all the things one day, and those cannot be even replaced by anyone. Means he stresses upon the non-permanence of objects. He stresses upon the temporary side of things, that they will be lost one day. Everything what is in our possession will not be with us after a particular time span, right? So to conclude, he says, he is learning well behind his desperate eyes. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. The epistemology of loss, epistemology, the science of knowledge. Epistemology, I repeat, the science of knowledge, right? So he is saying that he is learning well behind his desperate eyes. Desperate, hopeless, out of which no hope can be drawn, hopeless. The epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. Again, a big lesson. He says that although there is so much sadness in the eyes of that boy, there is hopelessness in the eyes, as he says, desperate eyes. It means, although the poet says that the boy's eyes are sad, the boy is hopeless at this time, but he is probably learning a very important lesson of his life. And what is that important lesson? Have you learned? The important lesson is that loss and profit is a part of life. loss is a permanent part of life, in fact, I would say. So he is learning a lesson that we should not, repent so much at the loss of material things. Rather, we should accept them and the life moves on. As he says, the epistemology of loss, epistemology, knowledge of that loss, how to stand up. The boy is learning how to keep himself normal, how to keep himself in a normal situation, how to keep his mood in a good situation. So knowing what every man must know one day, it means the hard reality of life is that losses are a part of it, right? So the boy is knowing that every person has to understand one day, and many of us already know it. The ones who have lost their precious things, the ones who have lost their dear ones in life, they can very easily interpret this poem. In fact, a big lesson of life, they can easily understand that howsoever efforts are made on the part of human beings, whatsoever they do, howsoever like they apply their monetary and political force, they cannot bring back their dear ones. They cannot bring back the things that are once gone. We replace objects at home, we replace furniture at home, right? So the issue is not that. The poet stresses that the time which is going, the time which is slipping away from us without break, the time which we are losing will never come back. And instead of repenting over that loss, we should in fact welcome our future. We should in fact live in our present, right? So we should develop the quality of acceptance. All in all, the poet wants to say we should develop the quality of acceptance, right? So I hope the poem is clear to all of you. And do solve the back exercise question, or else the answer keys would be provided the very next day. So have a nice day. Thank you.